Study 128. Taylor Swift Travis Kelce Wedding, Dior's Hollowed Object and Speculative Velocity Exposed, from the Objects of Affection collection. On a press release that arrived dressed as a garment, a couture house's first bride, and the wedding that converted ceremonial energy into brand equity, the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce wedding of July 3, 2026 was, by any conventional measure, the most watched celebrity wedding of the decade. And by the measure this study applies, the most complete aura transaction the luxury system has yet executed. A Christian Dior haute couture wedding for both principals, Cartier jewelry, custom Christian Louboutins shoes, and a unified statement, issued through the bride's publicist before the garment itself was materially described to anyone. The PLCFA framework terms in active structural use throughout this study: material singularity, hollowed object, ceremonial energy, speculative velocity, zero-sum aura, labor density, patronage validation, archival death mandate, custodian's contract, and institutional necrophagy. The couple is not the subject of this critique. The system that needed their ceremony is. The event, 2 days at Madison Square Garden. The facts as reported by WWD. Swift and Kelce married Friday, July 3 at Madison Square Garden, in a black tie ceremony officiated by Adam Sandler, with Austin Swift as man of honor and Jason Kelce as best man. Both wore Christian Dior haute couture developed in close collaboration with Jonathan Anderson, the house's creative director of women's, men's and haute couture. Both wore custom Louboutins. The bride wore Cartier. After the vows, LED screens outside the arena flashed, Justin T. married. A rehearsal dinner had occupied the garden the night before. The guest list ran from Gigi Hadid and Karlie Kloss to Hugh Grant and Bradley Cooper. The city stationed dozens of NYPD officers around the block for a week, and the couple donated $26 million to more than 20 charities. Every one of those details entered the public record within a single news cycle, pre-formatted for circulation. That formatting, not the marriage, is this study's object. The press release precedes the garment. The load-bearing sentence in the coverage is not about fabric. It is about rank. Swift is the first celebrity to wear a couture wedding dress by Dior's new creative director, a claim sourced explicitly to a press release issued by Swift's publicist. Consider what that sequence means. Before the public possessed a single material fact about the garment, fiber, construction, atelier hours, the hands that made it, it possessed a market claim about the garment's position in a brand's succession narrative. The dress was born annotated. Its firstness, a fact about Dior's corporate timeline rather than about the object, was the first and, for most of the audience, the only thing the dress was ever allowed to mean. A garment whose first public fact is a marketing claim has already been narrated past its material. The press release is the true object. The dress is its accessory. What haute couture claims to be: material singularity and the atelier. Haute couture is the last garment category with a legal identity, a protected French appellation, earned through documented atelier labor, made-to-measure construction and the fitting of one garment to one body. It is, on paper, fashion's purest instance of material singularity, hundreds of hours of traceable hand labor condensed into an unrepeatable object. Anderson himself carries real institutional weight. Dior's 8th couturier, the first to hold women's, men's, and couture simultaneously, arriving off an acclaimed decade at Lowe. The Travis Kelce haute couture suit and the bridal gown were presumably objects of enormous labor density. Presumably because no one has been told. The ateliers are unnamed, the hours undisclosed, the construction undescribed. The couture system's deepest asset, its labor, was present at the wedding only as a rumor beneath a brand name. Haute couture is the last garment category with a legal claim to material singularity. That is precisely why its ceremonial energy is worth harvesting, and why each harvest costs the category part of its meaning. The hollowed object in bridal white. Here is the detail this study exists to point at. WWD's own report describes Karlie Kloss's strapless liquid gold-colored taupe dress, Camilla Cabello's red lace billowing frock and Suki Waterhouse's black multicolor embroidered midi from Carolina Herrera's pre-fall collection. Fabric-level, collection-level detail for the guests. The bridal couture, the ostensible center of the event, receives no material description at all. The most important garment in the building is the least materially specified. That asymmetry is not an editorial accident. It is the signature of the hollowed object. The dress did not need to be described because it was not functioning as a dress. It was functioning as a sign, a simulacrum of couture whose referent, the labor and the cloth, had become irrelevant to the work it was hired to do. The public was given fabric-level detail about the guests' dresses and a market claim about the brides. When the couture is described less materially than the crowd, the hollowed object has completed its work. The aura transaction, what Dior bought on July 3. The PLCFA framework defines an aura transaction as the transfer of accumulated meaning from an object or event to an institution that did not generate it. The Swift Kelce ceremony held perhaps the largest single reserve of authentic ceremonial energy in contemporary culture. A genuinely beloved couple, a courtship conducted in public for 3 years, an audience in the hundreds of millions. Dior's participation converts that reserve into brand equity with an efficiency no campaign could purchase. Anderson's celebrity roster, Zendaya, Rihanna, Beyoncé, established the pipeline. The wedding is its apex deployment. The tell is in the language, a unified wedding statement. Vows do not make statements, brands do. When even the arena captions the marriage in LED, just and T married. The ceremony has been formatted in real time as content whose sponsor happens to be sewn onto the bride. An aura transaction is zero-sum. The meaning Dior withdrew from the ceremony on July 3 does not return to the vows. It returns to the balance sheet. Patronage validation and the $26 million gesture. The couple's $26 million gift to more than 20 charities is real generosity with real beneficiaries, and this study does not diminish it. But its structural function within the media package must be named, because WWD itself named the template. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez donating to Venetian charities before their 2025 Venice wedding. Philanthropy, deployed inside the spectacle's news cycle, is patronage validation. Moral capital purchased at the exact moment public attention peaks, preempting the critique that a $50 million build-out at a public arena might otherwise attract. The donation is good, its timing is strategy. Both things are true, and the PLCFA framework requires holding them together. Patronage validation is the spectacle purchasing its own absolution. The generosity is real. Its structural function is to make the extraction unphotographable. The archival death mandate, where the dress goes now, asked the question no outlet asked. What happens to the garments on July 4? No preservation plan was announced. No museum commitment, no archival protocol, no celebrity provenance documentation beyond the press release's single claim. The burden of preservation for celebrity-worn garments is real and immediate. Light, handling and time begin their work at once, and an object this photographed will be this century's most requested loan. Yet as of the news cycle that defined it, the most famous dress of the decade has no stated custodial future. This is the archival death mandate in its purest form. An object whose narrative was extracted so efficiently at the moment of use that its material survival becomes an afterthought. The irony is sharp. Ordinary brides box, preserve, and inherit their dresses. Civilian wedding gowns are the one garment category the public already treats custodially. The market's most valuable bride is, so far, contractually obligated to nothing. What a custodian's contract would have required. The standard is specifiable. A custodian's contract for these garments would have required named ateliers and disclosed hours, so the labor density becomes part of the public record rather than a rumor. Material documentation lodged with an archive at the moment of delivery, a binding preservation and exhibition plan, and an anti-speculative covenant ensuring the dress can never be liquidated as a celebrity relic at auction. None of this is fantasy, and no living celebrity is better positioned to understand it than Swift herself. Her re-recording campaign and the reclamation of her masters constitute one of the great custodial acts in modern culture, an artist asserting that provenance, ownership, and narrative control belong with the maker. The open question of this study is whether the dress will receive the custody the catalogue did. If it does, if the garment enters a documented archive with its labor named, OAC will file the correction with genuine pleasure. Coda, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are not the objects of this critique. By every account they supplied the one thing the luxury system cannot manufacture, authentic ceremonial energy, accumulated over 3 years in public and spent in a single evening among family, teammates and a comedian efficient. The critique is of the machine that stood beside the altar, the press release that outran the garment, the appellation deployed as a caption, the arena that captioned the vows in LED. What the case confirms for the PLCFA framework, haute couture's narrative permanence is now routinely liquidated for speculative velocity, and the more authentic the ceremony, the higher the extraction yield. What it leaves structurally open, the dress's future. An object can be hollowed by its debut and refilled by its custody. The garment's first chapter was written by a publicist. Its second is still unwritten. OAC does not critique the marriage. OAC files the transaction. 2 people supplied the culture's most authentic ceremonial energy, A luxury system converted it into speculative velocity within one news cycle. The vows were permanent. The equity is liquid. Authored by Christopher Banks, anthropologist of luxury, critical theorist and founder Objects of Affection Collection Office of Critical Theory and Curatorial Strategy, 469 Fashion Avenue, 12th floor, New York, NY 10000, and 18 related Oak studies. Further critical reading from the OAC archive on celebrity capture, hollowed objects, and the economics of aura. Celebrity capture and the athlete persona luxury brands and World Cup players 2026. The athlete as hollowed object, the hollowed object in practice Balenciaga's wellness kick. What the techwear smoothie activations actually reveal aura, anonymity and parasocial spectacle Freddie LA7 viral anonymity. What the German fans trip really means material singularity and structural captivity of material singularity, labor density, and the one original Eve Schaub is growing a dress. What the year of the dress actually confirms about labor density, slow fashion, and the one original object.